So, I ask again, do we know where we are going? Do we know what we are doing? Or are we driving these roads by road, thousands of such hours between our fleeting birth and death? Can we step out of that freeway system and sit back and really see beyond the morass, truly embracing those things that will have a deep resonance long after we are gone? Are we, fulfilling some kind of promise, a contract with the universe, the cosmos herself, that is vested in us and makes our humanity special, out on a freeway? All of these questions plague me. But they also give me great joy at the same time, or I wouldn't bother trying to express them.
The way forward, if we find it, is by recognizing that joy, love, empathy, and sustainability are not arbitrary acts, but acts rooted at the core of the cosmos. They are an expression of the reality that is in us and around us. This recognition has to be based on the insight that life is not a chance phenomenon, not something that is rare and just happens to be here because all the physical, biological, and ecological conditions for it to emerge are fulfilled on this planet, not something that is extremely rare in the universe.
Yes, Irvin, you are right that the fundamental conditions for life to emerge are fulfilled not only on this planet. However, the physical, biological, and ecological conditions for the life to evolve to higher than viruses living organisms were given probably, and still are, only here, on our Earth. Therefore we have no reason to generalize our joy, love, empathy, and sustainability onto the core of cosmos, whatever you do mean with this term. I agree, and it is a very human point of view, that joy, love, empathy, and sustainability are an expression of the reality that is in us and around us. But, around us, means here only our terrestrial, and maybe solar, cosmic environment, and nothing else.
Not something that is extremely rare in the universe. Yet this was the dominant conception until a few years ago. Lately it is becoming recognized that there are instantaneous entanglements, non-local configurations that create the structures that are basic to life. We now find that organic molecules are coming about in the course of the chemical evolution of stars. This is completely improbable in terms of the dominant paradigm. Yet using space telescopes we find organic molecules, the basic building blocks of life, in the interstellar dust that eventually gives birth to planets. It seems incredible. How did they get there?
Yes. It is true, of course, that by using space telescopes we find organic molecules in the interstellar dust. But the traditional interpretation of this discovery is false. The organic molecules are not the basic building blocks of life. In our new paradigm science we have seen that the basic building blocks of life are the universal, nanometer large matter spirit quanta, the quanta of the universal membranes. They are also the basic building blocks of the inanimate matter structures, like stars, with and without planets, and their different conglomerations, up to superclusters of galaxies. Those universal quanta of membranes, being just members of the interstellar dust, are occasionally heated in the neighborhood of stars to several thousands grad Kelvin, taking on their quantum level of larger organic molecules in lower temperatures, and the quantum level of smaller organic molecules in higher temperatures. At still higher temperatures, inside of the stellar corona, the molecules can be even stronger squeezed to different atoms. It is nothing incredible in those processes.
Life is a universal force. It expresses the same trend that is expressed in the formation of galaxies and the formation of atoms. It is the force that creates relationships, producing higher and higher level structures. If we take account of this, we will know that it is in us as well. Love, solidarity, empathy, these are basic expressions of the evolutionary impetus encoded in the formation of atoms, the evolution of organisms and of galaxies. It is there in us as well. The recognition that we express the basic evolutionary trend can give us direction, it can give us confidence. Because in us is all the wisdom that we need to exist, to evolve, and to flourish.
That is a great insight.
Exactly, Michael. That is a great insight indeed, what you, Irvin, have reached after the decades of your search for a new paradigm in science. However, you still need a physicist supporting you in the interpretation of the entire collection of your information. And not any arbitrary physicist, trying to explain to you his or her own traditional point of view, but a physicist experienced in the investigation of a truly new paradigm in science. For example, you are using the expression, life is a universal force. It would be acceptable, if you mean with it that life is a universal phenomenon, or life is a universal tendency, or something like that. But not force, because force is one of the most frequently used physical quantities, for example as Newtonian force, dynamic force, or electromagnetic force. The universal force would mean a force that unifies in it all other, till now separately defined kinds of force. And life is surely not such a unifying phenomenon, or tendency, or potential. As a physicist, I can also not agree with your poetic statement that love, solidarity, empathy, should be basic expressions of the evolutionary impetus encoded in the formation of atoms. The single evolutionary impetus we are able to identify in the development history of our solar system is the Proto-Mars Proto-Earth collision 3.5 million years ago, which pushed our planet towards the center of mass of the solar system, in Venus. This impetus has forced the primitive organisms of the Proto-Earth to evolve to higher and higher forms of life on the renewed Earth. Together with the Moon's formation and the beginning of the plate tectonics of the Earth's crust, this impetus was the true, and exclusive, cause of the evolution of life leading to us, human beings. Love, solidarity, empathy can be located in us, indeed, as well as in probably all living organisms. But never in atoms, or galaxies.
Finding the information that forms the universe is not something we just dream up. We have to search for it, we have to unearth it, digging below the avalanche of irrelevant superficial information. It is there in us, our bodies could not survive without it. We discover this evolutionary impetus in previously quite unthinkable ways and places. I mentioned organic molecules. Lately they discovered that DNA strands can spontaneously recognize one another across distance, though mainstream science does not understand how that would be possible. This kind of phenomenon indicates the existence of non-locality, which means that there is information, coherence, and consistency across intervening space. Space does not separate things, it joins things.
In the new paradigm, universe is a structure formed by energy, or informed energy, as you prefer to think. But it is never a structure formed by information alone, because there is no information transfer without an energy transfer.
Many years ago Rupert Sheldrake started talking about dogs knowing 15 minutes prior to when the Irvins and Caritas of the world are coming home to their four-legged friends. I am thinking of the Australian Maremma sheepdog Oddball, the hero who saved a colony of native penguins from foxes in Middle Island, Australia. This central Italian breed of guard dog knows instinctively when hostilities are emergent. Their trans-species altruism expands the circles and layers of family beyond normal meanings, and gives us a very down-to-earth chance to recognize the physics and belief and expression patterns, and particularly in nurturance. To see if between species is very special. I remember the early studies on the electromagnetic resonance, sensing through invisible bonders all manner of phenomena, and how that is possible, and then the various tests that were done. It is easy to test at that simple level because you have something on the order of 60 million dogs living with 320 million people just in the United States, so there are testable daily realities that transcend conventional logic. We now see it to be the case. But we do not understand it.
The basic factor is always this entanglement, This non-locality that was first discovered on the quantum level but that turns out to exist on all levels. It turns out that the coherence of the living system is ensured by this non-local connection. Just think, information flows in the body by biochemical means at the rate of signals traveling along nerve pathways at 20 meters per second. With this speed, it would be impossible to manage the billions of chemical reactions that occur in the body, millions of which occur every second in every cell.
The morphic fields of Rupert Sheldrake were one of the first scientific terms expressing what we are calling today the global consciousness. The morphic resonance is for myself simply a reading from and or writing into the global consciousness energy field. On the other side, the terms of the disused traditional quantum physics, like entanglement or non-locality, should be replaced in the new paradigm science with the terminology of the cosmic hierarchy of our solar system. This hierarchy is evidently coherent and non-local. And it describes also the wholeness of our observable universe, its oneness. As to the traditional picture of the billions of chemical reactions that occur in our body, millions of which should occur every second in every cell, it is enough to change to the quantum spectrum of all possible matter-spirit quanta in order to obtain a much better, and what is more important, a unified description of the energetic processes in our body. Those aspects of the new paradigm science have been widely discussed in our previous series of videos.